this episode of Bouts Talking Bouts, we've got quite the intriguing featherweight fight going down, and that is happening on December the 3rd, a main card attraction at Bellator 272. Jeremy Kennedy and Emmanuel Sanchez getting out there in a battle of ranked 145-pounders, and real happy to be talking to Emmanuel right now. How's your day going so far there, man?
Just hard work, dedication, man. Loving life, and another day in paradise. It's just can't wait to go out and fight. It's what I live for. I'm blessed and grateful that I'm able to do this. People forget that. Go back last year, my fight got canceled. Man, I was one of the ones that got canceled. So, seeing as even through a world pandemic and all this crazy stuff that's been going on in the world, and we've been able to slowly but surely pick everything back up, here we are. So, it's another step towards the direction of me wanting to turn my dreams into reality.
Yeah, and it seems like the, martial arts, like lifestyle-minded kind of approach is like super rooted in like the Rufus sport gym culture. Is that like a fair characterization? And can you kind of talk about that? Just martial arts as more of like a lifestyle consistent thing as opposed to like specific fight camps as maybe some people do?
Oh, yeah. I've always kept the GSP mentality since I started. A fighter only trains when he has a fight. I'm a martial artist. I'm always working to perfect my craft. There's always something that I need to get better at and work on. And that's something what I do day in and day out, fight or no fight on the line. And it's what I love to do. That's how I keep the black belt mentality that I have. Just got my black belt, first degree in my black belt. And so I want to keep that sharp. And all my skills, my striking skills, my grappling skills, my wrestling skills, whatever it may be. I'm always... I have the hunger to want to be better and do better.
Yeah, and you mentioned just the black belt distinction there and just talking about like how long this journey has been and a myriad of martial arts disciplines. Like how amazing of a moment was it to get that black belt? I imagine it was huge.
Incredible, man. Knowing that, like, dang, a lot of people don't know this, but I didn't like jiu-jitsu when I first started. It was hard. I teach kids jiu-jitsu, and I let them know that all the time, that I know it's hard, waiting for your stripe, waiting for your next belt, wondering if you're ever going to get it, wondering if you're ever getting any better or any good, and competing. When you win, it's awesome. When you lose, it's like, man, am I doing good? Am I good? Am I really this belt? It's such a long, tough road, but it's worth it. You stick with it. And I still, to this day, when I put it on, I tell them, I'm like, man, I don't know how I got this thing. I only got an idea, and that's just the white belt that never gave up.
Yeah, and that's amazing. You mentioned teaching young martial artists in their journeys and stuff like that, and you seem like a very humble, grateful guy in a lot of regards, but is there a level of, like, that constant reminder of, like, you see these young martial artists, maybe it reminds you of, like, what brought you to the dance initially, like some of the real early days? Is there that kind of, component at all?
100%. A lot of the guys that I first started watching were the most quiet, humblest warriors out there. George St. Pierre, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, Anderson Silva, BJ Penn, the Gracies. Guys who really, back then, all they cared about was wanting to prove that they were the best. Now, that could mean the best in any area and any discipline when they fought someone as well, too. You look back some of those old fights with Chuck and Tito, who was the better wrestler, who had the better striking, but that was early on MMA, proving on who was better in whatever area. But at the end of the day, still proving who was the better fighter and wanting to have a gold strap wrapped around their waist and the title after their name, world champion. And since then, that was the dream for me. There's nothing else that I wanted out of this, was just to be the best I possibly could be and be a legend in the sport.
Yeah, you definitely have like that kind of similar demeanor in how you approach it, and that must be huge for the younger fighters. And I'm curious, like in terms of like, I guess more of the physical application, because I've also talked to fighters who teach young martial artists, and just teaching it almost helps compound the understanding of, techniques that on a physical level you think, okay, I got this figured out, but teaching it almost creates like another layer for it that I guess can be used for competition purpose. Have you noticed that as well in your own efforts?
Oh, heck yeah, because it takes me back to watching Kung Fu Panda 3.
Oh, yeah.
It's one thing, like, him knowing that he's a warrior and fighting and proving himself to be a warrior and wanting to be a master of his craft, and then in the end, he ends up having to teach. What? I can't even teach my friends here kung fu, and they already know kung fu. And it's wild, man. I didn't want that position. I didn't want that title because I felt like I was still learning. How can I teach if I'm still learning? And I don't want to teach anything incorrectly. And it's been a road. I had to learn how to teach as well too. And it's a great saying. In learning, you will teach, and in teaching, you will learn. And it's something that I've been able to teach my students, who I call my teammates, these younger kids in jiu-jitsu and MMA, and all these younger guys up and coming as well too in MMA, this is what's going to help you get better. So you spar with your students. Like, you're teaching them how to jab, you're teaching them some footwork, you can teach them all the techniques, but then when you're actually moving around with them, you're using them to help you. So it's not just about being a mat bully or a know-it-all or too many people the old school way, showing that I'm the best guy on the mat, no one's better than me, etc. Now it's like, even if it was someone's first day, I can still learn from someone on their first day. And that goes back to St. Pierre, keeping the white belt mentality. I can learn anything from anyone at any time. And that goes with anything. So that's why I'm always keeping the white belt mentality. I don't know everything that has to do with about working on my car. So if there's any way I can get more gas or more nitrous intake or something working on the clutch in a manual car, like, for sure. I want to learn. I want to know about it. So that way I can do it myself instead of needing to pay somebody to do it. And on top of that, I can show someone else how to do it too. Because kids these days can't even change a flat tire. So, yeah, damn, you guys know how to change your own damn oil, change your own flat tire, etc. Right? So I want to, in anything, being a black belt in the martial arts and these skills, it's also not just about that. It's about using those skills, that discipline, that hard work, attributing that to your life. So being a black belt in life, knowing that, yeah, I need someone to help teach me how to work on my computer better or work on my crafts better or something outside. Help me clean my house better. Use a chainsaw, shit, hunting, fishing, whatever it may be, right? There's always somebody that's obviously better than you or knows more than you and got more experience than you at something. So that's something that I know I can learn from anyone.
That's a great attitude, just the general growth as a human being. But I mean, great work always had at Rufus Sport, but noticing Sergio Pettis is in a high profile title defense on this card, is there a compounded sense of there being that, good energy in the gym, like with a couple compatriots kind of getting ready to compete on the same night, or is that not really like something that compounds the effort as much?
Oh no, that's something that always has motivated me and inspired me and encouraged me to, not only when I was unsigned and still working a full-time job and wanting to be where my teammates were at on that level, but knowing that one day I wanted a world title. I wanted to have what they have and be able to do this for a living, as opposed to still needing to work and do other things. And now that I've been able to have this as well too, I want to share that with this younger generation of guys that we have up and coming. And the high tides raise all ships. That's how my coach Duke Rufus calls it. So we're only as good as our weakest link. So everyone's got to help each other get better. We, not me. So as we say, we grind together, we shine together. So this is something that we're all doing together. Together, everyone achieves more.
Yeah, it's an awesome attitude to have for sure, man. And I also thought it was cool that you had the Monday motivation picture a little bit ago there. Like you're saying, you were looking back 13 years and just like the beginning of the journey and stuff like that. How cool is it to reflect on different aspects of the journey like that, just seeing how far you've come and just the wild ride of it all?
It's pretty amazing. I'm blessed to say, none the least. I'm grateful for it all. So many different things that could happen in the fight game, to never getting signed, to never getting fights, to injuries, to your I get it, to each his own. I'm still not there yet because I wanted to make my dreams come true, but a lot of people want to get married, want to have children, go to school, do all these other things, and I've just devoted my whole life, my time, my energy to wanting to be the best at this, and it's fulfilling. going to Michael Jordan saying, "The game is my wife." It requires all my energy, all my dedication. It brings me back fulfillment and peace, and it has. And I haven't been chasing anything, just the material things, and obviously things that I know I can't take with me when I die. But it's what I want to leave behind, and it's what it's given me as well in return. So seeing as all these other kids that have helped get me ready for my fights, help me get better, help me achieve my dreams, and I'm able to help achieve theirs. It's something that we're doing for one another. I never thought that I'd meet doctors and lawyers and judges and helping train with police officers and ex-military and there's so many different people, so many different backgrounds from all over the world. Been able to train with people from Japan, people from Thailand, people from Russia, people from Ireland, people from Australia, people from the UK. It's very humbling, and it's very rewarding knowing that I got friends from all over the world. Like they've come here to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to train, and wherever they are now here, whether in the U.S. or out there in the world, back home in their respective countries, that if I ever want to go and visit them, I got a place to go visit them, because I've never been to Australia, I've never been to Japan. So knowing that through martial arts, man, we have this bond. So this is a great feeling. Over all these years, still being able to have all these things and share all these experiences with all these people, it's blessed.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey so far, but another chapter being written in the coming days and stuff like that. Jeremy Kennedy currently in the top 10, ranked number 9 there. You're number 4, so an even matchup for sure. And obviously Jeremy Kennedy experienced across not just Bellator but also PFL, UFC. Like, what are your thoughts on, I guess, his main stylistic proclivities, like the big tools that he brings to the table you've noticed?
I think he brings a little bit of everything. Got a solid game on the feet, on the ground, experience. First loss being to Alexander Volkanovski. Fought other great fighters as well too. Through all many different high-level promotions. And yeah, he's a killer, man. It's tough Canuck. He brings it, but this is good. This is what makes for a very exciting fight, and that's why they made this fight. And I'm happy that we got this fight going on. And this is what I wanted. I want to fight all the toughest guys, all the best guys that come to throw down, and that's what makes great fights, stylistically as well too. And I'm excited to lock horns with such a great fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. And usually when I have fighters on too, I'm kind of curious as to like what music they might train to. Like some fighters are kind of like, whatever, whoever grabs the aux cord, I'm kind of fine with whatever. Some people have like go-to genres or artists. Like, where do you stand on that? Is there certain music that particularly fires you up in training, or is it kind of just whoever plays whatever, I'm down?
Oh yeah, they could be whoever plays whatever. I'm down on any given day. Sometimes guys snag the radios first, so we got big speakers up in the gym, right? So yeah, whoever gets it first, I guess. So that's why I try to get here first whenever I get mine on or whatever. But sometimes they shut it out, sometimes they don't, whatever. But my coach loves the Cuban boxing style, the Muay Thai style. So we really have very actually smooth music. So Mark Anthony, Daddy Yankee, Bad Bunny. So any of the Spanish music, how some of the best Mexican boxers, Cuban boxers, Puerto Rican boxers that come out, because fighting is like a dance. If you can't dance, you can't fight. That's the Thai style. So that's what gets you light on your feet too. We don't really have like crazy hard rock, or it could be some poppin' music, I guess, or some jamming music sometimes, I guess, whoever has the techno or whatever, if they like that, or dubstep or whatever. But for the most part, we get guys who obviously like rap music, today's pop music, and for me, I like the hot Spanish music.
Yeah, all good stuff that I imagine gets the footwork going pretty good for sure. It's been great talking to you, though, man. I want to be mindful of the rest of the schedule you might have and everything. Just great getting to talk to you ahead of this fight. But is there anything that you might want to add kind of as a parting thought as we're wrapping up here, man?
Just peace and love to everybody out there, man. Not too far from our home here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We got all this negativity going on, and everybody hearing about what's been happening around that's been going on in Wisconsin and stuff in the news. And just peace and love and Hakuna Matata to everybody, man. This is a real bare necessities. So just stay safe at home, and let's stay off the news. Let's stay out of trouble, and just focus on positive things, man. Positive things that make us happy, whether it be football, baseball, basketball, MMA, music. You do your thing, just stay in your lane. Don't worry about fighting on the internet, and arguing and wondering what's going on, and needing to want to go out and protest and riot or whatever is going on. Just stay safe, and it's going to be Thanksgiving this week, man. So let's just be thankful and grateful that we have health, we have life. We're not in quarantine, we're not locked down. We got our jobs back, or we're able to work. Let's just be positive. Let's just be positive. We got Thanksgiving and Christmas to look forward to. So let's make that happen. And everyone on Thanksgiving gets to eat Thanksgiving. Man, I got to eat a salad, so eat all the pie for me and all the cookies for me.
Yeah, hopefully you can have a couple plates at Christmas to make up for it there after this December 3rd fight against Jeremy Kennedy there, man. But really appreciate making the time again to reiterate. And yeah, thanks so much, man. Best of luck with the remainder of the prep, and just have a good rest of your day, too.
Thank you, man. You too. God bless.
All right, on this episode of Bouts Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual who's fighting at Bellator 272. It goes down on December the 3rd. A very consequential featherweight fight on the main card between Emmanuel Sanchez and Jeremy Kennedy. Very happy to welcome Jeremy back onto the show. How's everything going with the training ahead of this one here, man? It seems like you're getting that great Las Vegas work.
Oh, yeah, man. Training's been going awesome. Lots of good training partners. Everyone's in the gym getting ready for fights, and I'm just glad to be on the same schedule with a lot of my other 45 training partners. And yeah, camps can't no complaints.
Yeah, you mentioned being on that similar schedule to some of the other featherweights. Like I saw Dan Ige was someone you were getting in work with at Extreme Couture. Is there like a few other featherweights you can cite within, that group of 145ers you kind of alluded to there?
Yeah, well, Dan got me and him have been training, and he got his fight shortly after I did, the week after, and Kai Kamaka, who's on the same card as me next week. So we were training lots together, and Julian Arosa got his fight. It's a little farther away, but he's a great look for me and a good body. Boston Salmon's fighting in a few weeks and at 45, so we've had a good solid core group of 45ers.
Yeah, and it seemed like you were at the Bellator 263 show. I mean, it seems like you had an amazing night, but it seemed like the focus was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to, be back fighting in front of the crowds. Like, was there a certain itch you get when you're at an event like that where it's like, damn, I'd love to be out there? Or can you kind of compartmentalize it a bit and just sort of like take it in from a fandom kind of perspective?
Yeah, it was tough, especially because I was itching to fight around that time. I've been out here training in Vegas for a while now, and when that card came to LA, it's not far away, so I wanted to go out there and take a look. And I wanted to be a fan, but the headliner being the featherweight title fight and the co-main event being another training partner, Mads, against my future opponent Sanchez, it's really hard not to be out there scouting and have the fights on my mind. And again, my last two fights for Bellator have been no crowds, and this one was right back into the swing of things with a nice big crowd. And yeah, it definitely gave me the itch, and I just couldn't wait to get on a card myself.
Yeah, no doubt been a little bit, not a crazy layoff since the last Bellator fight per se, but the only reason I say that is because I saw you had a bout subsequent to that under the, Submission Underground banner there. Like, what was that experience like? Just getting to compete in a bit of a different combat discipline, rolling with somebody who's like a multi-time, world and Pan Am champion. Like, what was the whole experience like there with Submission Underground?
Yeah, that was something I was interested in doing for a while. Is my roots, my background, what I started in was jiu-jitsu. So to be able to do it professionally and get paid and on a stage and streamed on Fight Pass, I was excited. So I was eager. And when Edwin's name came across, I was excited for that. I had nothing else coming up, and it just gave me that itch to, get on the road, check into a hotel and compete, fight day, and everything like that. And actually since then, I've had two other competitions. Most recently, I grappled with Eric Sanchez, another MMA fighter, which was kind of cool to not go up against a pure jiu-jitsu guy rather than an MMA guy doing jiu-jitsu, and that was in Sacramento. So again, flying in, staying at the hotel and all that. And the other one I did was out here. It was just a local one, but still I had success. And yeah, it's good to stay sharp, and competing is a lot different than just training, so having a grappling match that, you know, you have a crowd and you have one guy versus the other, everything is kind of 100%, you know, where if you're grappling just at your jiu-jitsu gym, it's a lot less high pace and high intense. So it's good to just get those rounds in any chance I can. And again, I definitely look forward to doing it again. And especially if there's no conflict with any fights. And yeah, it was a good experience.
Yeah, and it seems like there's some competitive utility to just staying active, even though, like you were saying, it's, you know, pure grappling, very much different than the MMA grappling. So is that a fair characterization, like just the utility of like staying somewhat active in any kind of martial arts competitive framework?
Exactly. Yeah. Like I wouldn't compare that to fighting by any means. Especially the rule sets that overtime, like the EBI overtime, starting in an armbar or on your back and all that kind of stuff. It's just different. It's more of a hobby to me, you know, where Bellator, MMA, pro MMA, that's what pays the bills. That's my career. And submission grappling is just more of a hobby. It's what I've done, and just a way to stay active, you know. Some fighters run triathlons and do whatever in the off season, and I like to try to compete as much as I can in jiu-jitsu and other combats.
Yeah, and getting in great jiu-jitsu work, like as it relates to fluidly transferring into MMA. Like I feel like the Jake Shields American jiu-jitsu stylings is like a great, you know, framework to go off of for success in MMA and getting that at Extreme Couture there.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, actually, because I started working with Jake about 3 weeks prior to that Submission Underground match, just because I wanted to really just work on that rule set and that style of jiu-jitsu. And I picked up a lot of things that I've used now in the gym and in other competitions since then, and I've adapted to my game right away. So if I would have never done that match, I would have never really made those connections and made that style of training and focus of training, and got better in those aspects.
Yeah, and just speaks to like how much of a hub Vegas is in a lot of ways, and especially in a localized way of honing the, you know, submission grappling overall. Like I saw the UFC PI pick with Islam Makhachev, so I imagine some, you know, work getting back up on the feet is a pretty key part of working with a guy like that.
Oh yeah, he's a monster, man. That's I've trained with those guys a lot as well, like the whole Dagestani group. My manager Ali Abdelaziz, he very close with them and connecting with them, and I have a very good relationship with Ali, and so whenever they're in town, they all like me. I get along great with them, and it's just a whole nother group of bodies to work with and push myself, and they have a very similar style as me, and I love working with those guys as well. And it's they've got a lot of good guys my size, and yeah, every time they're in town, I'm always training with them too.
Yeah, and this is a very compelling fight you have coming up here. I was excited when I saw the matchup kind of get announced there. I mean, Emmanuel Sanchez, a really talented lad out of the Rufus Sport Camp there, has contended for the featherweight title in the promotion a couple of times. Like, what are your thoughts on, I guess, his main tools he brings to the table, like the big stylistic proclivities of Emmanuel Sanchez?
Yeah, man, this fight really excites me. You know, as soon as I signed with Bellator, you know, if his name's not on the top of your list of guys that are on your radar, I don't know what you're doing. You know, him, the Daniel Weichels, you know, Pitbulls, all those guys, you know, a lot of them are leaving now too, like the Pat Kearns and stuff. So there's guys that have been long-time Bellator staples, and he's one of them. And as soon as I signed, I was like, I know I'm going to end up pairing up with him eventually. And here it is, you know, and it's top of the card, co-main event, and his style, it brings it out of everybody. You know, he's just, his biggest attributes, I think, is his pace, his relentlessness, and he's all around well-rounded, good feet to the floor. You know, he's good jiu-jitsu, good striking, good at mixing it up, and he can go all day. So I think no matter where your strengths are, when you fight him, it's going to bring it all out.
Yeah, and I mean, a fight like this with just like two ranked individuals high up there, I mean, there's always like, you know, title hierarchy minded considerations and just like a really, you know, deep weight category overall there. Like I feel like it's one of the deeper featherweight divisions in the world.
Absolutely, and it just kind of shows what Bellator thinks of me, you know, and my last two fights, you know, I think Borks was on ranked third, and now here Sanchez is fourth. So back to back, I'm right at the top of the division fighting these guys, and on good stage, good on the both main card, this one co-main event, and I'm just ready to capitalize and seize this opportunity.
Yeah, and obviously, like I said, a very, tenured individual, seemingly like a stalwart kind of contender there. So obviously the main focus is on that. But I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't at least briefly touch on the little banter with Pedro Carvalho there. That seems to be a somewhat regular thing, or at least it was in the summer. Like, what's going on there with all of that? Is that purely like a professional-minded kind of thing, or is there some level of like, not bad blood per se, but some level of like banter where it's like, oh yeah, I actually want to get out there and, put it on this guy a little bit more than others, I guess.
Oh man, he's definitely on the top of my list. I can't. I got a huge task in front of me in Sanchez, so I don't really even like giving him any kind of brain space right now. But prior to this fight getting booked, we were definitely going back and forth, and he was actually offered me for that Ireland card, and he had all the laundry list of excuses, and more so the only thing that's I don't really like is, the banter is all good and back and forth, but what really stuck to me and what made me not want to give up on that potential future matchup is he's just kind of discrediting me, and trying to big time me, I guess you want to say. And the guy has, I have as many wins as he has fights, and he coming off back-to-back losses prior to his last fight, and he didn't really have much room to say any of the stuff he was saying. And it is what it is, though. That's the fight game. Everyone's going to have their own opinion and their own view on the division and where they're the trajectory of their career. But again, he's definitely a guy that's going to be on my radar. Not right now. I'm not even thinking about him. It's all Sanchez here on out. But yeah, just touching on that, he's definitely a guy that I'll be looking for down the road.
Well, I think it shows that competitive mindset too, just like being willing to, fight him in Ireland, where there's going to be obviously a huge partisan presence for him just being part of SBG Ireland. So it really shows the gamesmanship on your end, it seems like.
Oh yeah, exactly. That would have been a good one. I've fought all over the world and always other people's backyards. It doesn't really affect me. I've had fights in Brazil against Brazilians, Australia against Australians, in the Middle East. It's being Canadian. When I first was fighting in the U.S., I was fighting in all these guys' hometowns, Boston guy in New York and whatnot. So, I'm used to that. I'm used to being the guy who ruins the hometown fighters fight.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm kind of curious, like you talk about traveling the world and whatnot, like full-time move to Las Vegas last time we were talking, but have you been able to get back to the home province and check out British Columbia as much as of late, or mostly just like blinders on with the camp and then maybe after entertain something like that for the holidays type deal?
Yeah, it's gonna be I've only been back. Went back beginning of October, just for about 5 days. I have my house back there still that I was renting out, and so when I left, it was kind of furnished. Left it all, came down here because I didn't have much time in between with all the restrictions, and so I just had to go back and button some things up and figure it all out and move some stuff into storage and whatnot and visit with the family that I could while I was home, and then came right back out here. And that was pretty much when I got news of the fight, and I was about 8 weeks out right when I got back, so it was good. Nice little quick visit. And then since then, a lot of my parents and family and friends have came out and visited me here because BC weather and Las Vegas weather at this time of year is a lot different, so they look at any excuse to get out here, which is nice. It's me being able to stay in my own training routine and my comfort zone, and have a piece of home come out here and visit with me. And my dad, he's retired, so he's been out here for 2 stints of about 3 weeks each, and he just hangs out with the dogs, and it's a lot slower paced life, so he likes it out here too. And I look to going back near the end of the year after this fight, just for the holidays. It's good timing, and then I'll be right back out here again. And it's my career, man. It's my lifestyle, so I'm always going to be out here, and just kind of going back here and there just for family time.
Yeah, that was kind of the vibe I got, like Vegas, the professional spot, and yeah, go back to BC and see the fam and stuff like that. But the rental kind of dynamic seems interesting. I mean, how's that been? Has that been a good, like, passive income stream largely, or has there been some growing pains, being in that kind of dynamic?
Finally, now it should be. For the longest time, it was more of a hassle. It was just an overhead that, when I left, I had all my stuff. My wife was there and I was here, and then she came with me, but all our stuff was still in the house, and we can't really rent it out. But we lucked out, and a family friend was coming from Australia who needed a furnished house. So we were renting for them. We were renting to them, which was nice. It was just covering the bills. So there was no extra income every month, but it wasn't like I was just paying rent here and a mortgage there, all out of my pocket. But then they found a different spot, and that's when they had to leave in October, and that's why I had to go back and figure it all out. And it did sit empty for about 2 months now, and we have new renters in, but a lot more by the books, and it has to be completely emptied and walls painted and patched and everything out. And so that was a little hard to do from here. But I went back, got some of it sorted, and I got a lot of family back home, and both sides, my wife's side and my side, and they all pitched in and helped out, and we've got that whole place emptied. And December 1st is the rent are in, so life's good now.
Yeah, well, that's awesome to hear there, no doubt, man. And one of the last times we were talking as well, you were saying that generally, more often than not, you like to work with sparring partners that kind of mirror some of the, stylistic proclivities of upcoming opponents you have there. Like, is there anybody that you worked with in that sense? Like, did you curate the sparring partner dynamic to mirror Emmanuel Sanchez's skill set? And if so, who were those individuals?
Yeah, so for the first few weeks, it was just more getting hard, good work in with other 45ers, like I mentioned, the Kai Kamaka and Dan Ige and guys like that. And then once they started gearing, Kai got the fight with De Jesus, so he needed a southpaw, and Dan's got a fight with Emmett, and he needed a shorter guy. And we all kind of just geared off and found our own specific training partners. And a guy who really helped me out this last month is Julian Arosa. He's a little bit taller, but a very similar style, a little awkward, but high volume and all-around good kickboxer, and not the biggest wrestling threat, but he's dangerous on submissions, and he attacks from the bottom, and he's hard to hold down, and just a very good look for me. I've been grateful to have him helping me out, and he's not in camp. He's got his fight with Peterson, but that's out in February, so he's just looking to get good work in right now, and it was kind of geared towards me, what my needs are, and yeah, I got nothing but good thing to say about him. I'm really happy to have him helping me out.
Yeah, well, glad you were able to get in that kind of, specified kind of work there. But one of the last things I wanted to kind of touch on there, because I noticed a tweet you had there kind of earlier on in the fall where you're saying, venturing out of MMA sports betting to football, and you lost your shirt. Have you gone back to, football betting since then, or betting in non-MMA sports, or kind of learned the lesson there, just sticking to what you know more so?
Yeah, no, I'm still trying, but it's very, very small units. I'm like $10 a game kind of thing. I'm still not doing too good. I'm trying to make it back, but MMA, when the UFC and the Bellator cards are on, that's when I kind of make up my football and hockey losses. But I kind of just geared towards, instead of trying to take on a whole new sport of football and different players and guys get hurt and that impacts everything. And now I just kind of follow the Vegas, the Golden Knights and the Raiders, and I kind of pick and choose on that aspect. I either bet for or against, not like I'm a big Raiders or Knights guy. I just chose them as the team to kind of follow, and stylistically how I think they're going to do. And then Vegas, the Raiders, unfortunately, have been dealing with a lot of stuff lately, and that shows in their performances last few weeks. And that's kind of all I've really touched in on, is just betting on the Raiders and betting on the Knights, and not really knowing anything else about any of the rest of the league.
Oh, good to keep it localized, though. Definitely understand the logic there. But yeah, you've been really good with it.
I went to my first Raiders game in end of September, and then I went to my first Knights game just beginning of the month here against Vancouver Canucks, which was kind of cool. I had to go to that one. hometown team comes to my new hometown, and I was like, okay, I gotta go watch that. And I had a buddy in town at the time, so we checked that one out, and it was good. And so when you're betting on them, small money or anything, it just gives you a little bit more of interest.
Yeah, did you have to like stitch together two jerseys to kind of show love for both teams, or did you have to kind of bite the bullet and?
Well, I had my buddy in town, so he was the honorary Vancouver Canuck, and then since I was hosting for him, I decided I was going to be the Golden Knight, and the Knights won, so we're all good.
Yeah, definitely got all the bases covered there for sure. But you've been really good with your time, man, and I want to be mindful of the rest of the schedule. So to that point, is there maybe anything you'd want to add, kind of as a parting thought as we're wrapping up here, Jeremy?
No, man, that's awesome. It's been awesome talking to you. Just tune in next Friday. We're gonna get this W.
Yeah, it's going to be a killer fight between ranked featherweights at Bellator 272. Emmanuel Sanchez and Jeremy Kennedy, certainly one of the bigger bouts on that card for me and everything like that. So really cool to be able to talk to you ahead of this one. And yeah, thanks so much for the time. Best of luck with the final parts of the preparation, and just have a good rest of your night too, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.